In the previous tutorial, we went over the fundamentals of combat, including tracking HP, TP, rings, and crits. We also overviewed the basics of tracking initiative and movement, as well as using signature attacks to deal damage. Now we'll take another look at the character sheet to expand the number of options we have during combat. This section of the character sheet is another dynamic section that will change frequently during play. While spending tricks and critical tricks, shopping, or simply exploring, you may obtain a variety of power-ups and other consumables that are recorded here. Items such as shields and power sneakers can have a dramatic impact on the field of battle, since they allow you to negate the damage of one incoming attack or enhance your movement and speed-related skills, respectively. By spending an interact phase, you can consume these items and gain an immediate benefit, giving you additional options during your turn. Some items are passive and sit in your inventory until called upon in reaction to something, such as red star rings, which allow you to negate the effect of a single slip or critical slip when one is generated on your roll. The gear section, meanwhile, reflects specialty items that remain on your person and provide long-term benefits as long as they are equipped. During character creation, you might designate a weapon or other gadget as an equipped piece of gear that makes it more powerful than normal. Other types of gear can be equipped to enhance your dice rolls in various ways, acting as a tangible sense of character progression as your character becomes more skilled. Some of these items have the potential to be temporarily removed or disabled in the heat of battle with critical slips, so keep your wits about you. Lastly, mobiums are the currency that your character can use to purchase items and gear. These can be obtained by converting your rings to mobiums at a rate of 1 ring per 10. This can't be done in combat, so try to plan ahead to convert extra rings into mobiums so your hard-earned resources aren't lost when you suffer a crit in the heat of battle. At the bottom of the character sheet are 3 rows that look similar to signature attacks, and in a lot of ways they work the same way, with 2 key differences. The first difference is that each of these attacks has a TP cost associated with it, ranging from 5 to 15 points. The second is that these attacks require you to be next to another teammate when attempting them, as they will join in the attack outside the normal turn order and act along with you. While joining in on a tag team attack does not use up your next turn, only one tag team attack can be attempted per round. Tag team attacks are dynamic and exciting moves that allow you to perform heroic feats of strength, combining your powers with another to create a single move. You and another character will be making attack rolls simultaneously against a common target, resolving your tricks, slips, and crits independently from each other, while resolving the effect of the attack together. Each attack works a little bit differently as the power and complexity of the move escalate with each tier. 5-point attacks typically involve propelling or directing an ally toward an enemy from a distance. Your attack roll is directly targeting the enemy's dodge, but deals no damage by itself. Your ally, on the other hand, directly deals damage to the target, but does not count their hits towards overcoming the enemy dodge. This means that if one or both characters fail their check, the attack fails. But the low TP cost and range extension of the attack makes a good choice when dealing with enemies that have high defenses or maneuverability. 10-point attacks are typically an all-out short-range assault, where the characters combine their attack damage together as one mega roll. This makes the attack ideal for taking out targets with lots of HP, such as bosses and sub-bosses. 15-point attacks are typically over-the-top bombastic displays of attack power that have secondary effects, such as a wide area of effect or environmental damage that dynamically alters the battlefield. They are essentially 10-point attacks on steroids, making them ideal for clearing out waves of enemies quickly and dramatically bringing down a boss's HP. Let's try another combat scenario. In this case, the dimensions of the battle grid will remain the same, but the terrain will be more troublesome, and instead of fighting lowly egg pawns, the players are now up against a fearsome egg hammer. Initiative is rolled as before, but now that a sub-boss has been introduced, the GM's initiative roll looks a little bit different as this NPC has upgraded initiative. When rolling initiative for a character with upgraded initiative, the GM upgrades the dice pool with the number of trick dice according to the NPC's upgraded initiative value, the way they would for a skill check. This introduces a spectrum of initiative results ranging 0 to 9. A GM-controlled character might roll a value that exceeds what a player can roll and start their turn before any of the other players can act. However, if any 0 results are rolled, the NPC must take this slot that goes last in the initiative, even if they rolled higher with other dice. In this initiative, the Egg Hammer goes first and decides to forgo its action phase and instead take 2 move phases. Instead of using these phases on itself, the Egg Hammer uses its Marching Orders talent to direct the egg pawns and give 2 immediate free movement phases. Next up, Madeline sees the approach of the incoming egg pawn near the bridge and decides to make creative use of her 5-point tag team attack to propel you to the other side. Since you are adjacent to Madeline, the attack will be initiated by her and carried out by you after she lobs you at the egg pawn within her firing range. She marks off 5 TP from her total and rolls a ranged check while you roll melee. The egg pawn rolls its dodge. Madeline rolled 1 more hit than it did, so the attack connects. You roll 2 hits, using the damage from your highest damage melee attack on the first hit and adding the extra damage on top. Next, Mojave sees the egg pawn still standing and decides to finish it off. There is a 1 square wide gap in his path, but it's trivial to overcome. He simply spends an extra square of movement to hop into the air while crossing the 10-foot gap, landing effortlessly on the other side with 3 total squares of movement. He makes his attack and initiative passes to you. You size up this enemy threat and determine that it's time to start targeting the big guy. But before you do that, you spend an interact to activate your flame shield that has been sitting in your inventory, which will add extra damage to spin and melee attacks. You take a swing at the Egg Hammer and deal 8 damage. With 22 more HP, the Egg Hammer still has a lot of fight left. Finally, the remaining egg pawns take their turns. At the start of the next round, the Egg Hammer targets you with a successful attack, but your shield absorbs the impact and you take no damage. However, the shield breaks and you no longer receive the damage boost from it. Skipping ahead to your next turn, you decide to team up with Mojave to use your 10-point tag team attack. For this attack, you will roll melee and Mojave will roll spin and base damage equal to your highest damage attack, each respective type combined. You collectively roll 1 more hit than the Egg Hammer's dodge, inflicting the combined damage of 11 on the first hit and adding +1 damage for each additional hit, or inflicting a stack of stunned. The Egg Hammer barely has any HP left, and your victory is all but assured. You got a trick and Mojave got a slip on your respective rolls, which you resolve individually. The remaining egg pawn takes its turn and another round of combat begins. Starting at the top of round 3, the Egg Hammer strikes back with a devastating hammer spin attack that hits both you and Mojave by sacrificing its movement phase. Madeline moves up high and tries to land a finishing blow, but doesn't quite deal enough damage to finish the job. But she manages to inflict a crit, which this particular sub-boss must endure by marking off a crit on its own crit tracker. The Egg Hammer is now stunned, reducing his total dodge to 0 until Madeline's next turn. Mojave knows it's now or never. He spends all his TP on his 15-point tag team attack, which he initiates with you. He rolls run and you roll move, causing him to run around the Egg Hammer in a 3x3 area while you smash up the ground, picking up dust and debris. The damage of the attack is based on Mojave's strongest signature attack and is applied to everything in the 3x3 area, damaging the Egg Hammer and the remaining egg pawn. The dust in the air causes a disadvantage to all enemy attacks within the designated area for the next round. And additional hits deal +2 damage each. You rolled 4 uncancelled hits together, dealing 10 damage to everything. This defeats both the egg pawn and the Egg Hammer, as reaching 0 HP takes up the last crit on the Egg Hammer's crit threshold, leaving it with nothing left. Victory is yours. Just when you thought we'd covered everything, there's one last bit on the other side of the character sheet. Each type in Tag Team Heroes has a unique special move. Some are more directly related to combat than others. Speed, power, and fly types have one part of an ultra-powerful special attack that only works when all 3 characters use it together. A super tag team attack, if you will. This attack is called a Team Blast. Team Blasts have a number of distinct components. Move name. This will be an adjective or noun that when combined with your other teammates creates a 3-part name for the technique. Description. This lists the skill used to perform the character's portion of the attack and a brief description of what actions are taken within the narrative. Results table. This describes what mechanical effects take place for each number of hits that are rolled. Note that for the purpose of a Team Blast, tricks, slips, and crits are not counted, because because crits and status effects are also baked into the results table regardless of what number combinations are rolled. To initiate a team blast, all three types must be present in the battle, but not necessarily adjacent to each other, and they all must have 15 trick points to spend. On any of the three characters' turns, the character declares that they are initiating a team blast on their action phase, and all three players mark off the 15 points from their individual totals. All three then roll their individual team blast components at the same time. Note that having one or two players fail their check does not mean the overall team blast fails. It simply means that their contribution did not dramatically assist the other players on their components. After resolving the damage, status effects, crits, and so on, the other two players that joined in skip their next turns. This move is especially useful for quickly dispatching henchmen and sub-bosses, as well as dealing significant damage to bosses. Meanwhile, technique types have three distinct special moves corresponding to each of the three archetype variants: Genius, Figurehead, and Generalist. Unlike a team blast, these are performed individually without needing assistance from others, and they are moves that can be performed once per gaming session rather than paying a trick point cost. They are also designed to be used in a much broader range of scenarios than just combat, so rather than focus on dealing damage, they instead rewrite the rules of the scenario the characters find themselves in to make it a little bit easier. For the purposes of this tutorial, we will briefly overview them and see how they might be used in a combat scenario. With Inventive Solution, a technique type could spend their action making a skill check to cobble together or locate a weapon or defensive item, and then use it on themselves during battle, or give it to one of their teammates with an interact phase. With Rally Support, a technique type could spend their action making a skill check to call on friendly bystanders for assistance, and effectively add a friendly group of henchmen NPCs to enter the combat initiative and fight on their behalf. It can also be used prior to a fight to gain valuable intelligence to give the players an advantage, such as improving their initiative rolls by allowing them to reroll a die. With Indomitable Will, a technique type can reroll any one check that is made at a critical point during the fight, allowing them to secure victory by picking the best of the two results that were rolled. In this example, we won't worry about initiative or positioning, just establishing you and the previous group of players are now joined with three additional technique type players, pitted against a formidable boss, none other than Eggman himself and his signature Egg Wrecker. They fight in the streets of a city under siege by Eggman's forces. Sasha, a technique figurehead, acts first, invoking her Rally Support special ability. She rolls a 2 difficulty persuade check and succeeds with 3 hits. The GM rules that Sasha is able to pull in some bystanders to assist. 3 civilians come in and form a squad. A squad is a formation that a particular type of henchman NPC can form that allows them to act as one unit, rolling a single combined check rather than rolling as individuals. At the end of the initiative, these civilians will take action to assist your team. Next up is Max, a technique genius. He activates his Inventive Solution ability and makes a 2 difficulty tech check. He succeeds and creates a shield generator, which envelops him in a partial force field that gives him +1 dodge for the remainder of the encounter. Next, Mojave initiates the Team Blast. You and Madeline join in, marking off 15 trick points from your totals, along with Mojave, and rolling your checks. For a typical attack, the Egg Wrecker would roll its dodge at the same time, but due to the nature of this particular attack, the GM instead waits to see the results of Madeline's roll. Mojave rolls Run and generates 2 hits, dealing 10 damage and inflicting 2 stacks of the Restrained status effect. Certain status effects can have their effects intensified by activating them multiple times. In this case, adding an additional stack of Restrained increases the difficulty of the saving throw to escape it by 1. You roll Move, and to your dismay, you didn't roll any hits. The attack doesn't fail, but you don't add any damage or other effects to the roll. Madeline rolls Tech and rolls a single hit, reducing the enemy dodge by 2 and adding 4 damage to Mojave's attack. She would have done the same for you, but you unfortunately did not. Oh, what's this? Pal Rounder, the technique generalist, interjects by using the Indomitable Will ability and tells you to go ahead and re-roll your check. You roll again and score a whopping 4 hits. Quite the turnaround. You now deal 21 damage, now 25 from Madeline's boost, and inflict 3 crits. The GM notes that the Egg Wrecker's base dodge of 3 has now been reduced down to 1, and rolls, managing to snag a single hit. Rather than cancel out a specific hit that was generated on the player side, this result instead reduces the incoming damage by 5, that is, 1 per hit. So now, the grand total of damage is calculated, coming out to a resounding 34 damage, 3 crits, and the restrained status effect. In a single hit, the Egg Wrecker's HP is decimated, and all of its crits are used up. From here on out, any crits inflicted on the Egg Wrecker will automatically deal plus 10 damage on top of the damage from the attack. The Egg Wrecker is also unable to move or attack on its next turn and must make a 2 difficulty saving throw to free itself, in addition to having its dodge reduced to 0 until freed. In the course of a single turn, the tide is turned dramatically in the player's favor. That concludes this tutorial series on everything you absolutely need to know about combat and tag team heroes. If you want to be a total pro, there are other mechanics that may be useful for your particular playstyle, such as lifting and throwing objects, taking cover, and moving teammates around, but for now I'll leave that to you to investigate on your own. In the meantime, keep on rolling.